Firstly, Wayne, before we get into the intro, are you familiar with the Rugby's podcast, sir?
Not really. It's just all banter.
Yeah. It's a lot of banter. Talk a lot about rigs, business, and chassis. So it'll be good fun. You'll enjoy it. You're our second football player on the podcast. We had Andy King last year.
Okay. I'm fucking shit with footballers' names, to be honest.
Fair play, mate. Fair play.
I know fuck all about the game. I just played it.
Well, we promised that we would bring you the biggest names in sport, and today we haven't let you down, as we're delighted to have on the podcast ex-England, Chelsea, Man City, West Ham, and Southampton, just an MFU, left-back Mr. Wayne Bridge. Wayne, I want to start by getting your views on your old friend and teammate, Frank Lampard, sacking last month. Hopefully you sort of remember him as a person. What did you make of it? Did you feel it was the right decision? And, I mean, are you guys still in touch?
No, not still in touch. I speak to him every now and again, like not on a regular basis. He, great guy, great player, and obviously done well at Derby, done well at Chelsea. Obviously gone for a bit of a blip, and a small blip, I would say. The sacking, Chelsea look all right at the moment. I still don't think they've played fantastic, but they look all right. So the people that sacked him and brought Tuchel in are going to be a bit, want a pat on the back because they've picked up a few points. They're higher up the table. But I said when it happened, they could have give Lamps a few more games because they had an easy run in. Sheffield United, Tottenham obviously was the hardest game. We haven't been great. I can't remember the others were, but they were the lower end of the league. So Lamps could have turned it around. And I thought also it put a bit of pressure on the manager playing the teams that, aren't up there at the top or in the top half, that he needed to get results. And obviously played my old team, Southampton, as well the other day and picked up a point, which I think is a pretty bad point considering where Chelsea are, and Saints haven't been playing that well either.
No.
They're on a pretty bad run. So I know everyone's been happy with the amount of points that have been picked up, but I probably wouldn't get too excited yet at all. I think they've kept the ball well, but they haven't created loads of chances. Big shout out to Mason Mount, by the way. I think he's amazing. I've got to mention him. I thought he's been great as well. Wasn't involved in one of the first games, which I thought was an absolute... Well, I was pretty shocked, to be honest. But he's back in. He's playing really well.
Bridgie, the thing is, I don't know how much you know about me, but I'm the CEO of Clapham. I'm very good friends with Curzon. I'm also captain of the Clapham Falcons rugby team.
Right.
And I work in the city. And I think there's quite a lot of synergy between working in football and working in the city. It's cutthroat, and I guess it's based on performances. That's why I've been at my company for 10 years. And I guess it's all on results. Do you think football is too performance led? Is it too cutthroat? Do you think people need more time?
I think people definitely need more time. But obviously it's dictated a lot by money. If you're not getting the right results, especially at Chelsea, when you say cutthroat, I think Chelsea are especially cutthroat. They're not bothered about giving manager time at all.
No.
Liverpool, I think Jurgen Klopp, they've given him time. Solskjaer, he could have been sacked a good few months ago when it wasn't looking good for them, and now they're looking okay. When you say cutthroat, it is cutthroat, but I think Chelsea are more cutthroat than other teams by far.
Well, Frank Lampard from the outside, I mean, just a genius player, and he did a pretty decent job as manager. But he seems to be quite a boring bloke on the social scene. A bit like Owen Farrell.
He's boring on the social scene.
A bit like Owen Farrell in the rugby. Is he boring in the social scene? I mean,
no.
Is he the guy who stands in the corner with a little half Peroni and doesn't do much on a night out?
No, Lampsey loves it. Lampsey loves a beer. I was with him at Chelsea for a good few years. I'd probably... Lampsey's definitely there with me, like, let's get out and have a beer type thing. He's not, he's well up for it, yeah. Even I don't know if he actually brought a pub or if he went half on a pub. I'm sure he owned a pub in Chelsea at some point.
Well, did you ever manage to get out in the delights of Clapham when you were playing for Chelsea? Have you, I mean, the big question is, have you been to Infernos?
I might have, but I can't remember.
That probably means you've been to Infernos.
I know I've been to Clapham with a certain friend of mine, which you won't know, and I've definitely.
Jody Morris has a bar there.
Does he actually have a bar? Or is it a friend's bar?
I don't know, but I think, well, when I've been in there,
regular practice.
When I've been in that bar in Clapham High Street, I've been talking to some cheekers, and they seem to suggest he owned the bar, decent bar.
That's the cheekers. Yeah, I don't know. He might have just been spinning it a little bit. I'm not sure. I don't really know. I've not heard that. I've been invited out in Clapham by him, but he didn't say it was his bar, so I can't really comment on that. But yeah, most of my nights in Clapham are a complete blur, to be honest.
Yeah, well, listen, you don't go for Clapham. You don't go to Clapham for one beer. You go for about 50. And Bridget, just want to let you know that you're formally invited to Infernos when it opens up. I think Kersey's keen, so we'll get you and Kersey out on a night out, and you can see the delights of Infernos.
I'm up for it.
Well, Bridget, talking about Kersey, I mean, you're obviously good friends with some of the rugby boys, including Danny. How did you guys meet? And are you a rugby fan or just a fan of Kersey's wonderful looks?
Well, in terms of rugby fan, obviously, I've been to rugby games, Harlequins and stuff, and, you know, love to watch England play. But I'm not really a die-hard fan in anything and keeping up to date and watching a lot of it. I'd rather be taking part. I used to play rugby at a young age. But I don't know, has he told you when he first met me? I don't know if he's told you about...
He told us to ask you.
So has he told you anything?
He said, Wayne will do the explanations, just ask the questions.
Okay. So I met him at a wedding, actually. Ben Foden's wedding.
Oh, mate, he is loose.
Fodes has been on the podcast as well. Great guy, great voice, great lid.
Yeah, don't know how much of this story I should tell. Well, I'll start off with, I got there and none of the rugby boys were there, and it is probably late afternoon, and they had all been playing golf, and they stormed through me after about a few hours of me being there. They were already half cut, or they had a few anyway. Where they're loud, they're always loud. I got a bit of stick, you know, everyone being like me being a footballer. So I got a bit of stick. And then they started playing drinking games. And to be fair, I can drink, well, I can take it too far sometimes. I don't know what I'm doing. But we played some drinking games. It was Downing. And basically, if you lost, you had to do a shot.
Yeah.
I was going head to head with his mate Jord, who used to play as well.
Jordan Crane or the Burrell? Jordan Burrell?
The one who's at he's at Turnhall, Jordan Turnhall.
Yeah, the outside centre.
Yeah,
great guy. Seen him in the ship a few times. Loves a bit.
Yeah. So me and him kind of went head to head at one point, and I didn't do any shots, so I'm quite quick at down in drinks. And he ended up sitting in the corner of a room, throwing up on himself. But to be fair, true rugby style, he got second wind and carried on.
That is brilliant.
And then, so I think I got on well with all the rugby players, and then I had a little bit of a scuffle with someone.
Go on.
So I came out on top of that one. So then again, the rugby players like, bloody hell, he's a bit of a geezer, this guy. And then, the rest of the night was all a bit blurry, but I had a great laugh with them, and they seemed to like my company.
I can't blame them.
And then the wedding itself, I remember one point, this is really embarrassing. I don't know if people know this story, but you throw the flowers, the woman catches the flowers, and then I embarrass my missus a bit here. They throw the garter, and whoever catches the garter has to put it on the girl's leg. So even though it landed on my lap and I was with Frankie, like, I had to do it. Like, I'd obviously had a few drinks, so they started playing the music, and I'd done it probably a bit too. I made a bit of a show of it with some sexy dancing and stuff like that, and ended up putting it on her leg with my teeth.
Oh my God, that is brilliant.
Bridget, you should have played rugby. You should have played rugby.
Everyone says that. I played inside centre for a bit. And then Yeah, my missus wasn't too happy. She was all right. She knows what I'm like. And then I just remember straight after the rugby players getting hold of me and throwing me in the air. I just remember there must have been at 10 when I was so high in the air, I was actually panicking. They were throwing me so high. I was worried they were going to drop me.
Oh my god!
I got away with all of them, to be honest. I've also done a big fish off. I don't know if you heard of the big fish off. I went up against Kieran Bracken.
Oh yeah, big KB.
We trained a lot together, and he was a bit like, mate, you should have been a rugby player.
Jesus.
But yeah, no, I don't like. I'm not as big as some of them rugby boys.
And Bridgie, you obviously did SAS. Who Dares Who Wins, right? Were there any rugby players in that year? Was Jeremy Irvine?
Yeah, Ben Foden.
Yeah, we've also had, because Jeremy Irvine was in that year as well, right?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, great guy.
He's been on the pod as well. Great guy. He's actually going to play me in a remake of our Christmas film this year. It's a remake of Notting Hill, but it's called Clapham Junction.
Oh, quality. He's a great lad. Got on really well with him.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
Yeah, he was really good. Diabetic as well, so he went through that course. There was some touch and go moments because you're deprived of a lot of food, and it is tough.
Do they like off camera? Do they give you a bit of banter, or is it dead serious?
Like they're dead serious. You might get the odd remark and they might give you a little bit of a pep talk, like, look, stop worrying, just get on with it. What's coming next? So you might get that a little bit, but most of the time, like, there's no leeway on anything. Like, there was times, especially with Ben and Jeremy, it was like I was laughing so hard because if I didn't, I'd cry. I'm like, what? I was just like, what the fuck are we doing? Seriously.
Well, Bridget, you said that you learned a lot from your time on that show. A lot of our guests, including Fodes, said how brilliant the process was. How tough did you find it, and like, what did it teach you, which you hadn't sort of garnered previously about yourself?
I've always lacked a lot in self-confidence and worried a lot about what people think about me. So at the age of, I must have been 38 when I did that, to go on there and kind of open up more than I've opened up to anyone.
Yeah.
And and the only reason I ended up opening up, right, because when I actually first opened up, I didn't even realize I was getting filmed. They called me into a room, the doctor, and like said, "Oh, we just need to go through like some of the things we've noticed about you and some of the things that you said." So straight away, I'm thinking, well, I've done something wrong, or there's an issue here. So I didn't even realize I was getting filmed, and I just ended up like crying. But it was, they drain you, and you're so drained of energy, and your mind just isn't in it. You kind of forget about cameras at that time. I didn't even think I was getting filmed. And I just opened up about how I've lacked in self-confidence probably since I was a kid, mainly because of probably my intelligence in school. Like, I was always afraid to get up and speak if I got it wrong and things like that. And football was like a bit of a release for me. Once the whistle went, I was just in the zone. And probably learned to like love myself a little bit. And I am who I am. And if you don't like it, then it's tough, really, isn't it? Like, just get on with it. And I've always thought, I've got to do something. Since my career finished, I need to do something. And I've never found out what it is. And I think obviously there is stuff that I would do if the opportunity come along, but I am really happy at the position I'm in and being able to stay at home with my kids, that I don't really need, or I don't really need to, and I don't really want to chase the next thing.
Yeah. But
so I'm more happy within myself as a person.
Bridgie, like one question from me is obviously, I'm on social media. I'm probably the biggest influencer in Clapham, mainly because I've got a great chassis and fantastic lid. And
by the way, can I actually see you guys, or am I not allowed?
You can have a look, but we're meant to be social distancing. I can give you a look.
Right. Oh no, okay. So you don't.
Welcome, Bridgie.
It just feels a bit weird when I'm talking to a black screen. If you want it off, it's fine. Fine.
You can look at Freddie. You can look at Freddie all you want.
It's not a good look. I don't think you'd want it.
It's fine. It's fine. I'm loving the barnet. I'm loving it.
Yeah, it's it's in lockdown. When lockdown finishes, I'm getting it sorted out. It's not going to survive in the city. But one question I've got, obviously, I'm on social media, and social media is following. I'm obviously conscious that people recognize me around Clapham, but I've always wondered, as a football player, your profile, you're known by most people up and down the country. How much does that impact you? Like, I can't imagine going out or being somewhere. Are you conscious that people are looking at you? They know who you are. Like, does that affect your self-confidence? Has that always been tricky, or is that just part and parcel of being a football player?
I think it's part and parcel. I kind of forget about it after a few beers.
Yeah.
It's not as bad for me. Like, there's some lads that you look at Bex or Lampsey, probably one for 100% sure. Like, I could go into a bar and I could walk out that bar and no one's recognised me. I'll probably blend in with the crowd a little bit. Lampsey, people like that, the big players, like, I do feel for them. They can't do anything. And, if you want to go out with your mates and have a drink, they probably got to pick and choose where they go, because might want to go to a pub. Oh, this looks like it's just pop in there. But you could go in there and you should be hounded the whole time that they're in there.
Yeah, I have that problem.
I think locally, I'd say my locals here, just I just walk in and it's just like, it's nothing. It's just Wayne again.
Bridgie, where are you based?
Cobham.
Oh, nice. Really nice.
Well, and let's see what state he's going to get in.
Some nice restaurants around there.
Yeah, I'm not too bad. I did go to Amsterdam and watch Liam Gallagher in February, just before lockdown. Was it February or January? I think it was beginning of Feb.
And co-curricular?
I kind of got recognised everywhere I went. Everywhere. But no one actually thought it was me. They're literally like, my God, you look exactly like him. I'm like, I know, it's crazy, isn't it? And it was like, I got so many messages on Instagram, like when I got back, going, it was actually you. You were in Amsterdam, which is quite good, really, because there was a lot of English there. So it was good to kind of, people think it was me, but it wasn't.
Well, Bridgie, if you can go back to your career, I know you probably caused mischief when you were growing up in Winchester. But as you signed your first professional contract when you were 18, do you remember any sort of moments of getting into trouble with the local boys in Winchester?
Yeah, been barred from a few places. Yeah, I think at a young age, you had a bit too much to drink and like we're a bit rowdy, a bit loud. Like, can you get out now? And then there's always someone who will take it too far. So there's a couple of times we've not been allowed in for a few weeks. But no, I've not been that bad. I think there's a couple of times I've been in trouble for football, like not turning up for training or not turning up on time, drinking before training and stuff. But I think when I first started at Southampton, the drinking culture in football was still there.
Yeah.
It kind of fizzled out the more as soon as I went to Chelsea, it started to fizzle out a little bit. Well, now it's like they can't do anything because it's all on social media.
That's what I wanted to ask, because when you signed for Chelsea for $7 million, the highlight of the first season for me was.
I've got a great story. I got home on a milk float once. That's how I woke up, didn't know where I was, walked outside. There was a milk float. I was like, "Oh mate, you've got to get me back."
Oh my God, was that at Southampton?
I got training. Yeah, I was out in Winchester, and I was with one of my mates. He must have took me back to a house party. And I fell asleep and I woke up and I thought, oh no, I got lifted home by a milk float. It took ages.
That is brilliant.
I think I said the fan belt had broke. And then Glenn Hoddle called me into the office. I'm such a bad liar. And I went, do you know what? I went out last night. I'm so sorry. And he just went, I won't fine you for being honest. But next time that happens again, you're getting fined. Fair play.
Well, Bridgie, the highlight of your first season for Chelsea was when you scored the winner against Arsenal to send Chelsea into the semi-finals of the Champions League. Still one of the greatest memories for any Chelsea fan, ending an 18-game winner's run against Arsenal. Can you quickly take us back to that day? What are your memories of the goal? And as you said, drinking culture was just still about there. There were some beautiful old-school characters in that team before Mourinho arrived. How did you boys celebrate that night?
Oh. Right, so the actual night, well, it was an amazing night. Obviously, we ended a streak. Always comes into my mind that we blew it in the next round, but let's not talk about that anyway. Brilliant night. I don't score many. So when I did, I was just bundled straight into the crowd. Everyone was just buzzing. And after the goal, I remember the ball just kept coming to me. I just kept smashing it away because I didn't want them to get a goal. And I remember Lampsey screaming at me going, Geezer, they need 2 goals. Calm down. So from then, I was just absolutely buzzing. The change room was buzzing. Roman coming to the change room afterwards. He was buzzing. There was talk of everyone getting double bonus because he was so happy. And then the night out went from like hero to zero.
Go on.
I was just getting fed drink after drink, and I was literally just falling asleep. I was just so drained, like buzzing from the game, didn't really eat afterwards. And then, so what the lads did is they decided to lay me down, but covered me in pillows, and then they forgot about me.
That is fucking brilliant.
So the cleaners found me in the morning.
Where were you?
Cleaning China Whites.
What a place. What a place.
Yeah, so that I was hero to zero in just like 2 hours.
That is brilliant.
I got to training on time though, which was good.
Bridgie, who was the best value on a night out from that era though? Like of the old school boys in that Chelsea team before it got sort of replenished and modernised?
The core of the English it was always good to go out with them. Southampton, it was three times a week. Like beat, smack the tit. Like everyone was, you go out after game on a Saturday. Some people would carry on Sunday, Monday off, go out Tuesday because you had Wednesday off, then recover and go out. But it was kind of like everyone was doing it. At Chelsea, the core, all the English lads, always good to go out with. But some of the foreign lads that come in, brilliant lads to go out with. Archie, Robin, Makaleli, been out of Maka quite a few times, called Makaleli, Didier Drogba, loads of them love to have a night out, obviously when was possible. Because when we're playing weekend and Champions League, you can't go out, you just don't have the time. So whenever it was like, there's no Champions League game or no cup game midweek, lads were buzzing just to have a night out together.
Richie, obviously, I mean, look, I don't play football. I play rugby, and obviously that's how I sort of know Kersey, because we've got mutual respect for each other as players. But obviously, what's like the difference in terms of, I guess in a rugby team, you get a sense that you go on the field, you're putting your body on the line every time. Not saying that footballers don't do that, but there's kind of like a brotherhood. Are football teams the same, or do you like out on the outside you get perceived that they're like boys come in from the outside? It's kind of, you get, everyone's paid pretty well. Is there that bonding, and does that make a team, or have you been part of a team where it's been successful and there isn't that sort of camaraderie?
I think when I was at Chelsea, there was when I was at Southampton, we definitely had it, like the brotherhood. I think at Chelsea there was as well. Most of the lads would go out. If there wasn't lads that didn't want it, there only be a couple. But I think most of the lads would be up for getting together and having a good crack together. Man City was okay as well. There was a good few lads that would definitely get together a lot. And one who I'm amazed who loved the night out was David Silva, because what a player. You wouldn't think he had that many nights out, but he loved the night out. Carlos Tevez as well. He would always be out. I just think Southampton was probably the more brotherhood one, where everyone went out. Chelsea had it. Started to maybe fizzle a little bit at the end. And obviously the older I got, I probably still went out when all the lads were going out anyway, actually. But yeah, I think you notice it fizzle. No one would go out as much. There would only be a select few that go out. Most people would get together for the Christmas party, but after the rugby players I know, there's definitely more of a, getting together and doing stuff together more than what there is in football. Definitely towards the end of my career and now, 100%.
There's a guy in our rugby team called No Chat Pat. He plays lock. He's got size 14 shoes. He wears hiking boots on a night out, and he doesn't know how to talk to any of the cheekers. He's not classic on a night out, and we all try and stay away with him, like stay away from him. If there was anyone in your playing career in any of your teams, who was the no chat Pat of any of those teams you played with, who you were just like, nah, your banter's rubbish, your chat is.
It's probably me. Probably me. So I'm so drunk.
No, Bridgie, surely there was someone who you were just like, your fashion sense terrible.
I hate. Do you know what? Rob Green, the goalie, I think he was just one of them that he'd be quite happy to just sit in front of a fire and read his book rather than have a night out with the lad.
He's. By the way, if you're listening to this, Rob Green, you're not welcome in Clapham.
I can't think of Hassan. I remember Hassan Kachul coming to Southampton, and obviously he didn't drink, but we soon changed that after a few months. Rob Green's the only one I can really think of who really would rather sit in front of a fire and read a book in my playing days.
Maybe I'll put him in contact with No Chat Pat, and maybe they can sort of have a friendship, go to a pub and do a puzzle.
I would love a night out with Jimmy Blas.
Bridgie, I've read that you had a difficult relationship with Jose Mourinho at times. Can you give us some examples of when things just got a bit sticky between the two of you because he was a bit of an arse?
There's only one time where I probably lost it a little bit, and it was just he was on my case, and it might have stemmed from, there's times he's dragged me off at half time, but he's not said anything. He's not like, you're this, you're that, you're shit, and like, don't get me wrong, I didn't play like my best game, but the whole team was bad. But it was like, you're off, it's your fault. And I was like, it's harsh. I know if I've played a bad game. So there's times I think he's just too harsh. And I know when I played a bad game, and I know myself, and I thought he was very harsh. And then I think would have been following that. It was on my case in training. Everything I did, there was something wrong with it. And I just carried on. I turned around, what is your fucking problem? And then I didn't answer him. No, seriously, what is your fucking problem? And he never spoke to me, never answered me at all to this day. Never said a thing to me. And he never spoke to me afterwards either.
Do you think that's his method of trying to get you to perform better? Because like my boss at work never talks to me, but I think that's because he wants to make me better. Neither's my dad.
It could be that method, and it's like, but he doesn't use that method for anyone. So he's had enough of you, or he's hoping you have a reaction. And don't get me wrong, I would always train hard, and I'd always try and get back in the team. And it never really stopped me from trying or anything like that. But I was always a trier anyway, no matter what it was. I don't know if he was looking for a reaction. Maybe he was.
Do you then know that your time's up?
I turned the corner with him since then. So long ago. I remember.
You still look the same, Bridgie. You haven't aged a bit.
Wait to see me next to my missus. I look about 20 years older. When I remember turning a corner, and it was the first time, not the first time he spoke to me, but it was a kind of a proper praise. It was like, you've been brilliant. I've been really good of late. I was playing most of the games. And then he was like, we've got Barcelona coming up in a couple of weeks. Make sure you're ready. And it was basically saying, you've been playing well, you're going to play. And then we played Newcastle and I broke my leg.
Oh, no.
So when I turned the corner, I ended up breaking my leg. And then I obviously struggled to get back. I signed Ashley Cole. I was like second fiddle most of the time. I broke my leg, dislocated my ankle. And then, I just ended up going on loan. I stayed there longer than he ended up staying there because I still played quite a few games because we had so many games under Ashley Cole, and then Man City come in, and that was it really.
Bridgie, obviously you just saying there you're unlucky with that ankle injury against Newcastle, but you still won your Premier League winners medal. Can you please take us through that evening? I mean, the first time in God knows how many years Chelsea win the Prem. You lift up the trophy. Where was the party that night, and what took place?
I don't even know.
Must have been a good one.
Somewhere in London. Yeah, it would have been a good one.
It's probably the time you visited Inferno's and you just can't remember.
Inferno's more recent, actually, believe it or not. The thing with me winning the Premier League is, to me, it didn't really feel like it was my medal. I played enough games, but I wasn't a regular in the team. Obviously, I started off the season and I was playing. and then I got the injury, and I played enough games to get the medal, but I didn't play the whole season. For me, yeah, I've got the medal. I played enough games.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really feel like I really
got it yourself in a way.
Yeah, I'm a bit like, well, I played enough games to get a medal.
Bridgie, just to finish on Jose, not personally to you, but what was we've heard him go into the showers with Lampard and like grab him by the balls. What was the craziest thing you witnessed Jose do on or off the pitch?
I had a teacher like that.
As long as you think we have Maccas, they ain't big enough. His hands ain't big enough. I know there's one thing. He was banned. So he was banned from being in the changing room. I think it was a Champions League game, and the kit man ended up bringing him in a skip. Wheeled the skip into the room. It's all the kit was in. Jose Mourinho popped out. Still the team talks before and after the game. That was quite funny. Do you know what? He was good for the lads. There's times we've had pre-seasons in America, and he's thrown a party. And when I mean thrown a party, Snoop Dogg's there, everyone's there.
Really, that's amazing.
I should have been playing for Chelsea at that time. I would have fitted in.
Team spirit and stuff like that. But do you know, it is hard. You see how he treats some players. I'm a bit like, I think it's a bit harsh sometimes. And do you know where I think he's a great coach? Don't get me wrong, he's a really, really, really good coach. Where he's had a bit of a tough time at United and Tottenham, I think sometimes he looks like a bit of a spoiled kid throwing his teddies out of pram.
Yeah, he's got to lighten up a bit.
It's not going his way. I don't think he deals with it that well sometimes.
No. Well,
but it's funny to watch. I love seeing that.
Bridgie, going on to your international career, you represented England at 2 World Cups and the Euros and, a number of occasions, 30 plus. But it feels that you didn't enjoy your time away with England. In fact, perhaps you even hated it at times. Can you tell us how tough it got and why was it such a nightmare?
It wasn't a nightmare, obviously, when I first started. It was just the fact. So when I first started buzzing to play for England, played really well. I made my debut in February, ended up going to a championship, which was amazing. But then from then on, it was like, well, if Ashley's injured, I might get a game. If he's not, then I ain't going to get a game. Yeah. Might play some qualifiers and stuff, because obviously Ashley does pick up injuries. But whenever it came to a tournament, Ash would always be fit. And to be honest, he was probably always our best player. Yeah. And I just got fed up of sitting on a bench. Great to represent your country, but like sat on the bench watching, and I wasn't like hoping for him to get injured. I was just like, I'm not going to come. I come on against Argentina at left midfield for a little bit, so I got to get some minutes, which is obviously great. But I just got fed up of sitting on the bench all the time. And I don't care what anyone says. You don't feel like you're really part of the team just sat on the bench. I don't care what anyone says. If you do, then you haven't got it in you, the fight or the... You shouldn't be happy sat on the bench. And I just wasn't. And it's things that piss me off would be like, oh, right, we played yesterday. We can do some ice baths today. We're a team that's getting it together. I don't need a fucking ice bath. I didn't play. I don't want a fucking ice bath. Just fucking go and train. Like us 10 can just go and train and play 5-a-side. What do I know? Well, we're a team. And I was like, oh, fuck. I'm like, I fucking hate ice baths. So why the fuck do I want to go and sit in one? I used to lose my head a little bit. So, yeah.
It's a bit...
behind in Japan. Right, we finished the World Cup. I woke up. We got knocked out. We had a night out and I got left behind.
Really?
They forgot about me.
What, they left you in the hotel?
Left me in the hotel.
Jesus Christ, that is amazing.
How bad's that?
Was it a big night out on the sort of the Tokyo terrace or something?
No, it's just in the hotel. We couldn't really go out. It was just mental. Whenever you left the hotel there, it was just like carnage, just hounded by people.
But what's it like going away with like all the boys? Like obviously, my dream is still to be selected for the British Lions this year.
I think that would be a totally different vibes going away with England.
Is it just like quite draining? Like you're being scrutinised. Do you do things behind closed doors as a team, or is that more like it is seriously pragmatic? It's just like you train, you go to your rooms, everyone's from different clubs, different personalities, and it's just it's boring. There's no camaraderie because you don't have the time to bond.
Yeah, I think everyone's talked about that. Like there's the northern clubs, Liverpool, Man United. Then there's like southern clubs, and there's also everyone's stuck in their little groups, which everyone's always spoken about. There has been times where we've had a party in Manchester. I think it's been great. It's been great for the team, but it's also the manager as well. Like Capello used to do my nutting. Like training was crap. Like the whole sit in your room, can't have salt, can't have ketchup. It's just like it was just. I never found any of it enjoyable at all.
No,
it was just boring. I could imagine it's just totally different going away with the Lions or something like that. I can imagine it's totally different.
Yeah, I fingers crossed I get the call. Gats, if you're listening, mate, give me the shine. Also, I think Kersey's keen to go as well. We don't need to be playing for England. Just anyone can get picked.
Just
for the
social
Lions.
support. Bridgie, training ground spats are commonplace in football and rugby, but what's the worst one you've ever witnessed?
Ooh, I love this one because no one would expect it. Probably. About the ones with others I've actually seen there and been there and seen it is Shevchenko and Teo Ben-Aim.
Please tell our listeners.
So, if you don't know, Teo Ben-Aim was a centre back. Loved kicking
some
people.
great eyebrows.
Yeah, loved kicking people. Loved getting stuck in. Sheva was tough though. He was solid. He was. You couldn't just bully him. And them two had a little bit of a handbags. And then as it went to kind of kick off, Sheva just threw this 5-punch combo and Teo Ben-Aim was done. Just done. Just finished him off. It was like a jab, right, hook, uppercut. Mate, it was just brilliant. No one ever knew he never had that in him. It was just brilliant. The way he danced like he was a boxing trick. Bang, 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 bang. Teo was done.
My God. That is incredible.
Brilliant.
Well, Archie loves the post-game team showers in rugby even more than the match, and it's a theme which runs through all rugby clubs in the country. They just love post-match showers. Is there such a thing as a team shower in football? And also, can you reveal if those famous stories about Makalele are true?
Bridgie, just to give you some context, in the Clapham Falcons Rugby Club, we do a thing called the bum funnel. It's where we put a bottle of beer through our arse crack and the other person lies on the floor and takes it through their mouth. But that's very rugby. I'm not sure that would happen in football.
Yeah, it's definitely not happened in football.
You can try one. You can try a bum funnel when you come to Clapham. Kersey loves it.
Again, I think this is a thing that has died out in football, that there was always baths. And I remember at Southampton, there would be 6-7 baths together and there would be showers. So there would be a group that jump in the bath together and have a beer together in the bath. And then as football has gone on, you go there and there's never a bath. It's just showers.
No.
Might have a cold bath, but there's not really a lot that went on. There's sometimes you go to an away game, Champions League, and they'd have this big fuck off bath and the lads would be get results and we're all in there having a beer.
Yeah.
No, there's not a lot going on. Makalele, his dick is like my forearm, basically.
Bridgie, one of our main sponsors is Manscaped, who are trying to keep people, well sort of groomed below the waist. Who's got the worst bush you ever witnessed in professional football?
Oh my God.
Great question. Freddie's trying to be the next Piers Morgan, and that is a hell of a question.
It is. I can't really. I couldn't pick no one, to be honest.
I'd imagine Peter Chat.
If I picked one, I'd just be picking one just because
everyone's got one.
Maybe he has got it, but there's no one that really sticks out. I think, fuck, he was bushy. Most people took care of themselves. I'm just going to chuck out Teo Ben-Aim just because he's really hairy.
Yeah.
Fair play.
You can tell a lot by a man by his eyebrows. I'm looking at Freddie right now. If you saw Freddie's eyebrows, you'd know that he probably
I've seen them, to be fair.
Yeah.
Bridgie, post your playing days, you've done some wonderful TV work and punditry and some incredible things. But apart from the obvious candidate, how good did it feel to knock down Spencer Matthews and beat him in the charity boxing bout?
It was it was good. It was. I love training for it. What was good with that was the referee was really good. He'd never let it go too far. I think Spencer had 2 or 3 standing counts, and it was well controlled.
You look serious though. I mean, you look serious.
I'm all right. Yeah, you got to go into it serious. Do you know what I mean? And there was, I think I know the compare of the night, and I've heard Spencer saying stuff that he was going to knock me out, and he just came over to me and went, "Oh my God," he said, "he's so confident." He said, "I'm going to knock him out. Don't worry about that."
Oh my
I was
God.
just like, I can't believe this geezer is so confident. I was just like, fair play.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was quite comfortable in there. I loved it. I
Oh, you
enjoyed
destroyed him.
I did enjoy doing it. I'd love to do it again because I've had 2 fights, and I felt like I got better each one. But to be honest, the sparring's brutal. I sparred with some really good people. Got beat up quite a few times.
Well, Bridgie, your nickname was Triple B, right? Which is actually the a third of Archie's business mantra. He's got a business mantra which is Triple A, Triple B, Triple C. But Archie's currently in training to box Alex Payne from the Good, Bad, and the Rugby in May.
Oh yeah.
What would your advice be to him?
They basically,
what weight are you fighting at?
Well, listen, we're in discussions at the moment. So me and Payno got a bit of beef. Obviously, James Haskell, the fridge, is a good friend of mine, and we've set this up. At the moment,
By the way, has he done his fight yet?
No. Unfortunately, he's got a bad toe.
I knew that wasn't going to happen. Yeah, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah. I've told Payno that I count myself as like the privately educated Ricky Hatton. Like I'm going to come forward, duck and weave and hit the body quite hard. We're probably going to be around the 78 kg mark. My body fat's hopefully going to be under 10%. But have you got any tips for me? I mean, look, I'm an unbelievable athlete. If you saw me in the rugby pitch, you would probably question why I'm not a professional. But what tips would you give me?
Well, what style are you? Are you like a fancy style?
I'm Mexican. I'm Mexican. I get my hands up. I'm getting in that pocket. I'm putting my head on his chest, and I'm beating that body, that chassis, as hard as I can.
He fights like you.
If I had some any advice for you, which is basically what I did for my first fight, I didn't stop punching, so he couldn't hit me. That's all I did.
That's what I'm going to try. I'm going to remember my first fight.
Train hard. Like how many rounds you doing?
That's to be decided. I reckon it's probably 4 rounds. 4 rounds of 3. Does that sound right?
Yeah. Well, some people do 2 minutes, but if it's 4 rounds of 3, I would make. This is what I do because it's your first fight. This is basically what I did. I trained longer in terms of rounds. So my first was 2 minutes. So I trained 3-minute rounds, and my rest I used to cut in half to what I was going to get. And I felt like I had the energy to go more rounds, but I could go hard for those rounds. You just want to go hard for every round and just put it on him.
Well, Bridgie,
I think Payno's got a bit of a chassis like Tyson Fury. He's a bit wobbly around the edges.
Who's posher at you two?
Well, good question, Bridgie. Both our parents have places abroad, and we both went to private educated schools. I'd just say I've got a bit more of the chat, and he's got a terrible lid, and I've got a suspicion he might play hockey.
I want to watch this, by the way. When is it?
I'll get paid. Do you know Payno?
Yeah. I've met him a couple of times.
Yeah, I'll get Payno to send you a ticket. You can definitely come.
Well, Bridgie, maybe we can sign you up. If you're looking for another fight, we just have to find someone to fight against you.
Get you in with Mike Tindall.
Wait, I'm a bit of a unit at the moment. I'd have to cut some weight.
What about going in with Mike Tindall? Tins would be up for it.
Oh, I met him one night. That was hilarious. He told a story about his. I can't remember what he said. My mate sent it to me. I can't even remember saying it to him. I think I told him to fuck off.
Oh my God!
That's the start of it.
It wasn't in a bad way. I went to the podcast they do and watched it with a few of my mates. Was that in Clapham?
Yeah, Clapham Ground.
It's the home of rugby, Bridgie.
Yeah, so I went there and watched the live one. And my rugby mates were trying to keep me out. And mate, we had polished off some beers, and then we'd start drinking wine. We had polished off a good few bottles. And I just wanted to go home. And he came over and said, "Get yourself out." And I just said, "Oh, fuck off, will you?" I was like, in a joking way, but I was everyone was trying to get me to stay out. But no, he's too much of a unit for me, I think.
Well, Bridgie, you're married to the wonderful Frankie, singer from the Saturdays, TV presenter, podcast host, etc. Can you lift the lid on how you both met, and how did you go about wooing her? I mean, she's an incredible lady.
I don't know if I wooed her. We were out in a club, and I was with just a few friends really, and she was there. James Corden was actually there, and we were all in the same vicinity. just dancing around, drinking, having a crack. And I asked I asked what she like. But obviously chatted to her a little bit, not like, you don't know what someone's really like. And he didn't actually really know her that well. Oh, yeah, she's great. Nicked her phone, put my number in it, and that was it. Like, we texted a few times, and then it was a bit like, I wasn't getting like a great response. I was getting a response. It was all right. And in the end, I was like, oh, I can't be fucked with this anyway. So I just stopped. We just stopped texting. And then I see her out 3 more times, maybe. And she had kind of, you could say she pied me off in the text messages a little bit. So I was just like, oh, fuck it. And then she seen me out a few times. And I was always nice. I was never an arse or anything. And then I come up on her Facebook for her to be my friend. I don't even know how that works, to be honest, anymore. I remember I had Facebook. I never really used it. And she sent
I use LinkedIn in a very similar way.
Yeah. And she just sent me a random message. And then I think I was trying to play it cool and kind of, yeah, she ended up just saying, yeah, let's go out. I can't even remember what I said. I think she's still got the messages saved somewhere. And then she ended up meeting me. She was about an hour late. It was in Zoomer. And when she turned up, I was chatting to 2 birds at the bar because I thought she'd stood me up. So I was just 2 birds at the bar. And I was like, oh, my date's here. See you later.
Oh, my God. Well, Bridgie, when you get married, there has to be a stag do. Where did you guys go? Who was in charge? And which of your celebrity friends completely shamed themselves?
I didn't take any celebrity friends. All my friends from school.
Good man.
And to be honest, I never let anyone shame me. And that's because I paid for everything. So I took all my friends from school. I took everyone to Vegas. We did 8 days. There was an option to do 8 or 4. The first 4 days, my dad came. And like, you might think that's funny, but honestly, he partied harder than any of my friends. I remember the first night, me and my dad were the only ones out till like 7 a.m. We ended up coming back to breakfast, straight breakfast the night out when everyone had like had a little sleep and that. So the first 4 days was half my friends with my dad and Frank's dad actually, and then they left after 4 days, and then another bunch of friends flew over. But yeah, everyone just got me really drunk, to be honest.
Bridgie,
it was a bit blurry.
We've obviously been locked up for almost a year now, but we recently celebrated Valentine's Day, if we were lucky enough. And you sent a wonderful card to your wife, Frankie. Can you tell our listeners what the card said? And how did you both celebrate lockdown Valentine's? I mean, how do you introduce a spark when we've been locked together for so
long? Well, my card said, "You make my knob throb." Or "You still make my knob throb." Can't remember.
I might put that on my Hinge profile.
You know what I mean, it's like you can be together for a long time and it doesn't make it do it, but it still makes me stand to attention. She does. So, yeah, I thought it was a good card, to be honest. She liked it anyway.
Great chat.
Well, Bridgie, you and your missus have both spoken about how timing is key in the boudoir. Haskell recently said that he now purely is an afternoon operator. With all the craziness going on in the world, how do you keep the timings right in the boudoir nowadays?
I'm up and down, to be honest. Literally up and down. Yeah. It's one of them. It's because of our kids and the lockdown. Bedtime has become harder, so it has become a daytime thing. It has had to become a daytime thing, but that's also been quite hard because with homeschooling, it can be quite difficult. There has been close times to being catching.
Bridgie, I'm single, but I obviously, ladies, when lockdown finishes, I'm ready to mingle. But I'm also a daytime operator as well. Just so you know, I prefer the daytime, just a bit of me time.
But you do it over Zoom.
Yeah, I do a lot of Zoom sex.
You get it where you can. I like an evening one. I like a late night one, but my missus isn't isn't as keen. She'd rather a bit early, and she likes to go to bed early as well. I do like a daytime as well, and it makes you feel good afterwards. Everyone feels.
I've had a couple today, and I feel great.
Well, Bridge,
you've got me on here.
Bridgie, you've been absolutely incredible. We could talk all afternoon, evening, and night. And I mean, we're going to have to get you back on because you've got a stable of stories which just need to be told. But I mean, I think that's good for the first episode to get everyone just incredibly excited.
Bridgie, thanks so much, mate. Giving up your time. You're the biggest guest we've had on the podcast, so we massively appreciate it. And we look forward to getting you, Kersey, and Jordan Turner Hall on a night out in the Infernos very soon.
We get it on. Jordan's great lad as well.
Mate, we'll get you to the boxing as well when I fight Payno.
Oh, yeah, I'm well up for that. Definitely.
Thank you so much,
cheers,
Bridgie, mate. Honestly,
take care, mate.
You're an absolute legend. Cheers, mate. Thank you.